Hello there, in today's video I'm entering the great Fuji 35mm debate. Yes, Fuji has not one but two 35mm prime lenses in its XF range. Which one is better? Well, that's a $64,000 question, as several factors should be taken into consideration. This one is the XF35mm f1.4 and this one is the f2 version. Now there's quite a difference in appearance. The f1.4 is chunkier, weighing 184 grams, while the f2 is very compact in comparison and weighs 164 grams. Both are metal construction and feel very solid. As you would expect, there's a larger piece of glass at the front of the f1.4. So what about the pros and cons of these lenses? Well, the f1.4 was one of Fuji's earliest primes for the X series, released in September 2011, and it could be argued that updates in lens technology has left it behind. However, I have to say, wide open at f1.4 bokeh is fantastic. And if you're a portrait photographer who loves shallow depth of field with those creamy, blurry backgrounds, you'll adore this lens. The lens is generally very sharp indeed. The f1.4 does, however, suffer from aperture chatter, that sort of irritating sound, and for that reason alone may make it a non-starter for videographers, as the noise would certainly be picked up by a microphone mounted on the hot shoe of a camera body. Not such an issue, of course, for those who only shoot stills. Now, not that it makes any difference whatsoever to the performance of the lens. I have to say I really like the metal hood on the f1.4. Purely from an aesthetic point of view, I think it just looks good. Now, I find autofocus on the f1.4 is slow, whereas autofocus on the f2 is very fast. The f2 is weather resistant, and providing your camera body is weather resistant too, you can confidently shoot in moderate rain or snow. The f1.4 is not weather resistant. Now back to the f2. On the negative side, I find it hunts for focus when shooting video, and hopefully a firmware update sooner rather than later will sort that issue out. Neither lens has image stabilization, though I haven't found that to be a problem when using either of them on my X-T3 or X-T20. Now, of course, that's not an issue if you have an X-H1 or X-T4 with built-in image stabilization. As for prices, at the time of recording this video and using Amazon as a guide, the f1.4 is currently selling for £499 in the UK and $599 in the US. The f2 is £389 in the UK and $399 in the US. At this point, let's take a look at some footage and stills I've taken with each of these lenses on the X-T3. So there you have footage and stills from both the XF35mm f1.4 and the f2 taken with a Fuji X-T3. Having used both lenses for quite some time, my feelings are that other than when shooting wide open at f1.4 with this lens, there's no discernible difference between the two of them. When setting the aperture on both lenses to f2 and beyond, images taken with the f2 are just as good, in my humble opinion. And when taking into consideration its much faster autofocus, it is arguably a better all-round lens, and it certainly has lots of fans among users. Having said that, for some portrait photographers, the f1.4's better performance in lower light and impressive bokeh may make all the difference. I own both lenses and I have absolutely no intention of selling either of them. However, if I was only allowed to keep one and one only on balance, well, I'd keep the f2, and that's the one I would recommend to anyone considering making a purchase. The weather resistance, the fast autofocus and the price difference would seal the deal for me. Now, I had a scary moment immediately before filming this concluding piece. I managed to drop the f1.4 onto laminate wooden flooring when I picked it up off the shelf that behind me there. Thankfully, other than the lens hood and cap flying off, there was no damage at all and it continues to work perfectly. Phew. Getting back to both lenses, well, there are big fans of each variation, and if you own one, I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts. Which do you prefer? Which do you feel is better? Please leave a comment below. There is now an addition to this conundrum, as Fuji have introduced an XC version of the f2 into their range. Haven't seen one or tested one, but I'm told the performance is equally as good as its XF counterpart. Yes, it's made of plastic and it doesn't have weather resistance or even a lens hood, but at only £169 in the UK and $199 in the US, it's half the price. The XC version will undoubtedly be the preferred choice of many, though I doubt it would have survived a similar accident to the one I had earlier. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button to help grow this channel, and click the bell icon to receive notifications when I add new content. Until next time, my name is Ian Davis, this is Davco Media TV, thank you for watching. Wide open at 1.4, or rather f. I would recommend to anyone considering make